The other week, I was speaking with a 23-year-old entrepreneur who's crushing it. He's making around $13,000 in profit from his agency. But despite his success, he was feeling anxious, he was feeling overworked, he was feeling stressed. He wanted to quit his agency and do something completely different. And the more and more I was talking to him, the more it became clear that he had four main flaws in his thinking, which was preventing him from growing even faster. I made these exact same mistakes in my 20s, and if I knew what I was getting into, I could have grown way faster than I did with less stress and actually achieve the goals I wanted in a fraction of the time. Now, my name is Neil. I run a company called Made This Franchise. My local cleaning business makes over $100,000 per month in revenue. We've now franchised it to multiple different locations. I've kind of figured out things through trial and error after doing this over a decade. Now, in this video, I'm going to save you a decade of mindset shifts. I'm going to save you a lot more time. So I'm going to talk about what I talked about with this kid, about 4 different mindset changes he can make today, which is going to help him move way faster. So let's get into it. So as I was talking to this young entrepreneur, one thing I noticed about the conversation is how he kind of viewed different people he'd have to work with. You know, I suspect this was the guy in the group project who was the go-getter, the ambitious one, the one who was interested in the back, who viewed everyone and said, I'm smarter than them, I'm just going to freaking do it. And I saw that this carried over to his business. He had kind of contempt for the people he worked with. He said, hey, no one's working as hard as me. No one knows as much as I can. He hadn't developed himself into a leader just yet. And I think that caused him to overwork, to not trust people, to not delegate properly. And this is a common mindset issue I see with people getting into the entrepreneurship game. Now, school has always taught us work hard yourself, do the work yourself, and then you will grow. Because school is oftentimes just a very individualistic pursuit. You get good grades to make it to a good college, you work yourself and study yourself to get to the next phase. Sure, you have group projects, but that's a very small fraction of what you actually learn in formal education. And think about that. You spend 18 years of your life, 22 years of your life in this setting where the more hard you work, the better it's going to go. The truth is, this is not how it works in business, which is crazy that you have to unlearn this. So I would say when you start a business, there is a direct correlation with how much you work at the beginning and how far it goes to, but growth will stall if you're doing everything yourself. It cannot work that way. You have to get really good at leadership and delegating and building a team. You could go quick alone, but you can only go far working with other people. The key trait people need to learn is how to hire effectively and how to actually lead a team. It sounds kind of boring and stuff, but imagine this. If you're in a group project and you're the leader, in the group project, if you're the one who understands who to curate for your group project, if you're the one who understands how to delegate work in a group project and you're actually managing the process, that group project at school would go much faster and much easier, right? The thing is, in school, you could just get assigned people as part of your group projects and you have to hope they're good. Most of the time, you're going to get one person who's a doer, one person who's kind of helping, and someone who sits in the back. In business, it doesn't work this way. You get to pick who you work with, which is the most liberating part. If you don't like someone, fire them. Right? You don't need to work with people because this is your business. You get to decide what you want to do. Most people don't understand that. Therefore, they want to do things themselves. They want to do it the most cost-efficient way. They don't want to hire team members. They're like, forget it. I'm just going to do this myself. That's what this kid was doing, and that's why his growth had stalled out, and he was feeling so overworked. He did not trust anyone else, and he hadn't developed the skill of how to find good team members and how to lead good team members yet. Now, as I kept talking with this guy, I started to realize he'd fallen into something I call the forever thinking trap. And I know this because this is the same trap I fell into. He was so anxious about being the agency guy. He kept thinking, man, is this the right business model? Should I be doing something else? I'm on social media. All these guys are making so much money doing social media marketing and being influencers. Should I do that? I don't want to be known as the agency guy. And I get it. You know, for years, and even now, I still battle with being the cleaning guy. I don't want to be typecast as the cleaning guy. I didn't historically. The truth is, as you get into business, things evolve. And this is something this kid hadn't figured out, which a lot of us haven't figured out when we first get into business. The biggest trap is thinking, I have to do this forever, or this is my identity forever, because I happen to select this business model, which is not true at all. You could always change and pivot as you want. Most decisions in life are reversible. Right? Most decisions, not all, but most decisions in life are reversible. The exact same goes to your business identity and what you're doing. I know people who started and scaled something and decided they don't want to do it and flip over to something else, and they were able to grow it really fast. Why? Because they learned the game of business. They didn't learn that industry only and say, hey, I'm only a cleaning guy. I only know how to run cleaning companies. They learned the game of business. One thing I did in my 20s is to start a cleaning company, and candidly, I was kind of embarrassed about it. I had friends who were trying to start cooler companies. They starting like new startups and agencies and whatever. So I created a hold company. So I created an LLC and I was like, oh, this is just one of my holdings. I'm going to have multiple things under this, which in hindsight was so stupid. I just cared what people thought about, and I was worried they would think I'd be running this cleaning business and think less of me. The truth is, when I started telling people I ran a cleaning business, most of them were like, oh, that's such a smart idea. That's really cool. Many of them were in a 9-to-5. They weren't in entrepreneurship. So someone starting anything is really freaking cool. People immediately understood, oh yeah, cleaning business, I get it. Like, I need a cleaner. There's a lot of people making a lot of money in this one. I think there's the story we tell ourselves of how we need to present ourselves to the world. Now, the truth is that's just noise, and it makes us move a lot slower. In hindsight, I would have just leaned into it, saying, I'm the cleaning guy, I'm the agency guy, this is what I do. Things would have gone much smoother for me. Now, as I was talking to this kid, I asked him a question. I asked, who does success look like to you? Who are you exemplifying? As he started to tell me more about anxiety and what he wanted to do. And he was telling me, like, my views of entrepreneurs are Steve Jobs, Grant Cardone, strong leader who tells the team what to do, and these are the type of people you see in Hollywood. I chuckled a little bit because I think a lot of people, myself included, had that view of what entrepreneurs are, right? The truth is, your heroes are probably terrible examples to begin with. Many times, the people we see on social media are presenting something because it's entertaining. For example, Grant Cardone, he's the big 10X guy, very loud, shows jets in the background, all that kind of stuff. He's one entrepreneur who's showing that because it's flashy and it gets views and it goes viral. Most entrepreneurs do not do that. Most billionaires do not do that. They don't even live that type of lifestyle. I know a lot of people who are multimillionaires because I used to work in private equity. None of them are flashy like that. But the people we happen to see, the public figures, they're either extremely famous like Steve Jobs, who's a workaholic who built a massive company, or they're people like Grant Cardone or influencers where they purposely curated their life in a specific way and they're feeding you information and feeding you ways of what they think you should be doing, of how you should be working. And it's just not fact. That's how most entrepreneurs do not operate in that way. The problem isn't that like Grant Cardone or Steve Jobs are evil. Not at all. You're just seeing a very small sliver of your life and you are assuming that all entrepreneurs must act this way, which is not true. The cool part is you could actually be your authentic self, do what you want, act as you want, and still be a highly successful entrepreneur. So when I was talking to this kid, his view was the Grant Cardones, the Gary V's, and he's like, I gotta be thinking bigger. I gotta do X, Y, and Z. I gotta get the Ferrari. I gotta get the private jet. Not really, unless you really want. That's not what dictates a successful entrepreneur. It could be whatever you actually decide you want to be yourself. My point of this when talking to him was, hey, select who you want to be your hero. Don't just take the default social media guru or whoever's an entrepreneur on TV who you see. There's tons of successful people who live very alternate lifestyles who aren't flaunting it. So don't look externally to figure out what a good entrepreneur should be. You could decide that for yourself, and you could be extremely wealthy and live a completely opposite life of Grant Cardone. Both work. As I was talking to this kid, I was asked, cool, how much money do you actually want to make? And he told me he wants to make $1 million in profit next year. And I kind of laughed. I was like, wait, seriously? And, I was reading the stat recently where, 10 years ago, people would consider making six figures, like $100,000 plus, success. They'd say, hey, $10,000 a month is success. They did a poll recently on a survey, and most people think the barometer for success is at least $500,000, and most people think they're going to be millionaires by the time they're 26 years old. For reference, a top 1% earner household in the US is $700,000. So what this means is most people think they're going to be a top 1% earner by the time they're 26 or 27 years old, which is wild. It's just the distortion because of social media, because of people being flashy, because of people showing how much money they have in social media. It's skewed everything. The real facts is most people hit their top earning year sometime in their 40s. I'm not saying it has to take that long. It's just by facts, that's actually how it works. The reason is because of a concept called compounding. There's many compounding aspects of life. Compounding is often known in the finance world. You put $100 into a stock market. Over time, you get 8%, and it compounds and starts snowballing, and the graph looks like this and starts to look like this. In business, things compound as well. The longer you're in business, the easier it becomes. You have repeat clients, you know what you're doing, your sales script becomes easier, you hire people, things go like this and start compounding up like this. Compounding takes time though. It's very rare business goes from 0 to $1 million in a year. It's very rare that this happens. But if you're in business long enough, that steady compounding is actually how you build real wealth. So this kid I was talking to had an obsession with getting to the money milestone as quick as possible. He had this view, same as I did, which was once I reach this amount of money, I will feel secure. I will feel successful. I will feel achievement. One thing I could tell you, being in those shoes, is every time you hit a certain money milestone, it just moves You know, you hit 10,000 a month and you think, oh, I'm going to feel peaceful now. Maybe you're peaceful for a month or two, then you change it and you're like, I want to hit 20 now, I want to hit 50, I want to hit 100 per month. It just constantly goes. So the truth is, if you know it's going to constantly move, why do you need to get there as quick as possible? You know, you will get there at some point, and it's, to be honest, it just takes a while to get there. So enjoy the journey a little bit more. You don't need to speed and get there as soon as possible. The truth is, the business game does take a while to build, you know, and there's ways of expediting stuff. You know, you get coaches, you join a franchise system, people tell you what to do so you don't have to figure it out yourself. But it's still going to take time. It's not going to be like 6 months or a year and you're a millionaire. It takes a while to compound. But when it does compound, you've completely changed your life. You have a business for the long term. Things are great, but it takes longer than what most people think. My background is I started in 2013 with a local cleaning business as I was still working a normal 9-to-5 job. So I did a side hustle. My first year, I think we did $17,000 in revenue. Second year, I think we did around $87,000. And then it started compounding from there. The year after that, I think we hit 360, 630, and kind of kept going up from there. It takes a while to compound. That took me years to get to that point. But now I have a business, which I've had for about 12 years for my local LA cleaning operation. I put less than 5 hours a week into it. Most of my time spent on franchising. So we have a franchise system called Made This Franchise, where currently there's 40 plus other franchise locations who've literally copied my blueprint, took it to their market, and they're scaling a lot faster. They're shortening the time horizon, time collapsing. That's what they're doing. So I would say if you want to get to your end destination faster, understand it's probably going to take longer than instantaneous, but with the right guidance, you could get to the location much faster. An example would be like if you're climbing a mountain, you don't know which direction to go to. If you just hire like a Sherpa, someone to guide you, you'll probably get there a lot faster. There's ways of shortcutting the journey. So if you are interested in shortcutting the journey, understand these mindset tricks, understanding how to get to the end destination a little bit faster, check out madethisfranchise.com. We're open across all of the US. There's financing available. There's ways of shortcutting the journey. Check it out and see if it's a good fit for you.